My name is June. History is my specialty. I will try to explain the history of Japan as simply as possible. The history of Japan is so old and long that it's honestly hard to explain. But it's surprisingly easy to prove because the old times are well documented. A very good book for researching Japanese history is called Kojiki. When, who, where, and what was done are clearly written in this book. It is a history book, but it is written in a way that is rare in the world. It's not the usual legendary heroics, but all the failures, stories and gossip. Normally, a history book would be a heroic story, such as the power of the general saved the country. The Kojiki says, the general was not on the battlefield. Rumor has it that he was playing at the home of a woman he was having an affair with. Furthermore, the woman was the wife of a subordinate, and many other things that would normally be unnecessary. This is the history books made by the state, and many civilian history books are made in the same way, so the history can be easily corroborated. I think this is because of one of the Confucian teachings, the idea of wisdom. Wisdom, simply put, is something like, use a wide range of information and knowledge, not biased thinking. It's something like that. So Japanese historical heroes are also more stories of failure than of heroism. Japanese history is backed up by evidence. So, let's look at history in brief. In 2021, the country will be 2,681 years old. It is the oldest nation in the world. Although there are countries that tell an even older history, a country cannot be considered a dynasty if it has been occupied or deprived of royal power by another country in history, as a nation means that a dynasty has come to prominence and has been passed on unbroken in the bloodline. Japan's emperor is now the 126th Emperor Mikami, a family line that has been in existence for 2,681 years with an unbroken lineage of emperor blood since the founding of the country. I will explain the era of Japan. This one's going to be long, so I'm going to start with the easy, straightforward part. The ASUKA Period, 597 to 710. Buddhism is introduced from China. Buddhist temples are built in Kyoto and Nara from this time. In 667, warriors are sent to the popular Tsushima in the game. In 667, Tsushima's Kaneda Castle is built. In Kyoto Nara, construction of the Buddhist temple begins. The Nara Period, 710 to 794. In 716, the Izumo Grand Shrine is built. In 749, the Great Buddha of Nara is made first. In 752, Tadaiji Temple, home to the Great Buddha of Nara, is built. The Heian Period, 794-1185. There is nothing particularly interesting about it. Kamakura Period, 1185 to 1333. In 1274, the Mongol army invades Tsushima and Kyushu with a combined total of 40,000 troops. This is the popular game Ghost of Tsushima. At this time, 80 warriors in Tsushima fought against 30,000 Mongolian soldiers, but all of them were slain. In Kyushu's Hakata Bay, 5,000 warriors stand up to it and managed to stop it. There was a strong wind that day, and it was called the Kamikaze because it was on Japan's side. Then the Mongol army, in 1281, with 150,000 men, makes a second raid on Japan. However, the Japanese were also preparing for battle this time, so 50,000 warriors stood up to them and nearly wiped out the Mongolian army. In the two battles, it is said that Kamikaze saved Japan, but recent studies have shown that there was no wind during the battle, and it is known that during the return to port after the defeat was hit by strong winds. At that time, the Mongol army was soldiering peasants from invading China and Korea, while the Japanese were all highly skilled samurai in combat. The Mongolian army, which was considered the strongest at the time, was defeated by the Japanese samurai, who fought with a small number of elite fighters. This story will be discussed elsewhere on the site. The Muromachi Period, Warring States Period, 1336 to 1693. In this period, historical all-stars such as the warlords Takeda Shingen, Oda Nobunaga, and Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who are called warlords, spend their time in battle. Edo Period, 1603 to 1868. In 1854, trade with foreign countries, long closed, begins. By the end of the Edo period, the samurai families led by the shogun become less and less powerful. Meiji era, 1868 to 1912. The era of the samurai, led by the shogun, is over. Samurai are no longer allowed to carry around a Japanese sword and their clothing changes from kimonos to clothes. Politics changed from shogunate to government and many Western cultures came in. The movie The Last Samurai is this era. Universities, stock exchanges, etc. would be built. It is also in this era that steam locomotives were in operation. The Taisho era, 1912 to 1926. World War I begins. Showa, 1926 to 1989. After World War II, Japan goes through a period of rapid growth. 1962 begins research on superconducting, linear motor cars. 1964 Shinkansen service begins. Slightly later the site administrator is born. Around the end of the Showa era, the bubble era in Japan comes. Heisei, 1989 to 2019. Reiwa, now. I'm sorry for the very simple explanation. The part that I'm doing the best was the game. I made it simple because I don't know what the rest of the world is interested in Japanese history. First explained. There is also a Heian period and a Kofun period that is even older than the ASUKA period, but I removed it because it is difficult for even Japanese people to understand it. There is far more material to explain all of one era than the amount of information on this site. If you are interested in Japanese mythology, the Kofun period and ASUKA period. If you are interested in Kyoto and Nara's Buddhist temples, the Nara period and Heian period are the best examples. If you are interested in warlords and warfare, the Muromachi and Sengoku periods are for you. If you are interested in samurai, the Edo period is for you. If you like the gentleness of Japan and the original landscape, the Meiji and Taisho periods are the best. If you are interested in cartoons, vehicles, electronics, and home appliances, you are in Showa. If there is something you would like to know, please contact me from there when the question corner is open. I'm thinking of starting with the most frequently asked questions. There are many Japanese words that cannot be translated into English. I translated English and Japanese by repeating the same sentence, but it is difficult. Sorry for the poor English. Thank you very much.